Hello, you are listening to the Childcare Director's Chair podcast. Your host, Erica Saccoccio, invites you to join her community of passionate and inspiring leaders in the ECE field, where she discusses, reflects, and shares the best ways to invest in our children, families, teachers, and community. Because after all, we know they are the heartbeat of any successful program.
Hey guys, welcome to today's episode of the Childcare Director's Chair podcast, or our YouTube channel, depending on how you love to connect with us. So here on our channel, we're dedicated to supporting early childhood community leaders by using our voices to learn, to discuss, and reflect the world of early childhood education. In today's episode, it won't matter if you're a director, a teacher, a parent, or you're just involved in a child care center's parent advisory board. Our goal is to provide you with valuable insights and practical advice to enhance the quality of your center and care in early childhood education programs. Today, I wanted to talk about the ECHRs 3. So, I know you guys really love learning about the ECHRs because our most watched video is on the ECHRs, which was recorded, probably like 4 or 5 years ago. And I just started to shoot a video of me getting my room ready for my quality rating visit. And here I am getting ready to do that again. So with that in mind, I went to go grab a copy of the most recent ECHRs book, which is here. And it is the ECHRs 3. So first I want to say caveat, I am not connected with, affiliated with, sponsored by the makers and authors of this book. I just have had like 15 years of experience using it in my own child care centers. So I wanted to talk about it today and know it's a topic that's interesting to all of you. And with before and after school starting, summer camp has gone. Many of you are using the ECHRs to look at your program through the lens of high quality. So I want to ask you, though, it's not my personal opinion. Do you know that the ECHRs rating scale is used in thousands of child care centers, not just in the U.S., but around the world, impacting the quality of care and education for millions of children, not to mention the teachers who love them and the directors who are trying to navigate all the things that we have to do when it comes to running a high-quality program. From the United States to Europe and beyond, this tool has become a global standard for measuring and enhancing early childhood environments. With this comprehensive approach, it helps programs identify strengths and then, of course, areas for growth, because that's what we're really all trying to do, is be on this trajectory of staying on top of what's best practice and making sure that we are doing the very best for our children, our families, our teachers, and our communities. So we can take the information from this tool and use it to create action plans to improve quality for children. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about this ECHRs rating scale and how it can transform your child care center. As I said, I've used this tool, not only the ECHRs, I've used the ECHRs, I've used the ECERS. For those of you who are not familiar with it and you've heard it before, but you're just not sure how to use it, that's okay, not a problem. So the ECHRs stands for Early Childhood Environmental Rating Scale. So that's what it stands for. The ECHRs is the infant toddler environmental rating scale, and ECERS is, guess what? School age. So there are 3 different versions of this book based on the age group that you're working with. So the first thing you want to do is make sure you have the right copy, the most current copy, and the one that's perfect for the age group that you're working with, because they are definitely very different when we're assessing what needs to happen in the classroom. So whether you're part of an accreditation process or a state quality rating system, there's a good chance that this book has made reference in some of those materials on how you should be looking at your classrooms. And again, like I said, you don't need to be a director. You don't need to be an owner. Perhaps you're a teacher and you want to build out your classroom. Even if you're not in a QRS, which you should be, but even if you're not, you can use the scale to make sure that the classroom is, again, perfect for the children, but also for you. Because when your classroom works seamlessly and you have the materials you need, the flow is set up right, you are aware of lighting and sound and color and how all these things can really impact your students. And if it impacts your students, it impacts you, both positive and negatively. And you know that. So, but today we're going to focus on the ECHRs 3 and, really think about not only how we can use it, but also how it has changed, because there are some differences in the scales now. So the ECHRs is highly regarded globally. It is holistic. It looks at multiple dimensions of early childhood settings. It includes interactions, materials, and the learning environment. And it's through this approach that provides a well-rounded picture of the program's quality. It also emphasizes research-based high standards in early childhood education, ensuring that children receive the best possible care and learning opportunities. And then, as I mentioned earlier, actionable steps. By identifying specific areas for improvement, the ECHRs helps programs create targeted action plans. So if you've used the ECHRs before, which many of you have, we're going to talk today, this is just going to be a short video, on several key changes that have been put in place to enhance its effectiveness. And I can tell you that although I really loved the old scale, there was a little bit of me that was like, wow, this really could be set up in a way that centers that didn't have a lot of cash flow, a lot of money, I could see how they could have a little bit more of a challenge than centers that had higher income families, because they usually charge higher income, higher tuition. So around the materials. So the list of materials was, I don't want to say endless, but it was quite lengthy. And it was almost like you could go to a store if you had an open credit card with the checklist and say, okay, purchase this, purchase this, purchase this, purchase this, and fill your shelves up with all these materials. And that was the indicator of quality. Now, of course, you need materials. And of course, you need materials that are not broken, that are safe, that, make sense for how you teach in the classroom, that there is a wide variety. But, there's also different teaching styles. Like, I don't run a Montessori school, but a perfect example would be Montessori schools have specific materials on their shelves, which may not 100% align with the ECHRs. So I'm glad that they went back and just looked at the impact of materials being so weighted in the scale across the board. So I'm glad that we are focused on what is really important, which is teaching and interacting with children. So here are the key changes. Number one, there is a stronger focus on teacher interactions. The ECHRs 3 emphasizes how teachers interact with materials and the children, rather than just the availability of materials. The second major change is, remember the hand washing and the turning everything on and off with the paper towel and counting the seconds. And if you had that one kid out of 5 that didn't quite make the whole alphabet song, yeah, you remember those times when we were getting scored on that as, a key indicator for quality. So now the scoring has been refined to reflect attempts. So at level 3, significant attempts, and then at level 5, it's going to be most of the time. And then at level 7, it's going to be, almost always that the children are washing their hands correctly. No, of course, washing hands correctly is extremely important. And I don't think that they're saying it's less important now. I think we all know it's probably more important now with all of the new pandemics and, strains of things. But it's the practice of teaching children, this is how we self-care. After we use the restroom, we wash our hands. After we eat, before we eat, we wash our hands, right? So it's that practice of guiding children, this is how we do it properly. So if we're able to reach that most of the time, you're going to, you'll fall somewhere around that five score. If your children are able to do it, especially as they get older, able to do it, more in line with what is best practice, then you'll score higher. But I knew that was an area that a lot of centers really struggled with, especially the age of children, how long they wash their hands. And after a child wash their hands, they may do it appropriately, but then they might go shut the faucet off without the paper towel. So we can't, we shouldn't get all so hung up on that anymore. So that's good. So we get a little more flexibility, I guess. The incorporation of nap time. Nap time is now included under the health subscale for personal routines. And it's been integrated as a crucial part of a day in the overall assessment. So again, that's going to be part of your health and safety routines instead of on its own. One category that they did remove, which I thought was interesting, but then when I thought about it, most quality rating scales will encompass this anyway. So they revised the category of greeting and departures because they certainly would not see a departure because most times when they come out for a visit, it's going to be during that substantial part of the day. So a lot of this was just based on hearsay anyway. So they decided they were going to remove that category of greeting and departing. So we'll say this, if you're not treating your families nice and you're not greeting and departing nicely, there's a good chance your program isn't going to do well. And as I said, like if you're looking at the whole program and you're part of a quality rating system or accreditation, they're going to catch that anyway because there's going to be parent surveys, there's going to be parent advisory boards, there's going to be places where you have to assess how you communicate with families, how frequently, what are the different ways that you do that. So you're going to be able to capture that through other methods besides the rating scale. So I don't really think it's that big of a deal that they have decided to remove that. Another key difference is sand and water play. They are now part of nature and science items. They used to also have their own category. The caveat I want to say, because I've seen this in many programs and including mine, sometimes teachers want to use sand and water tables as sensory bins. And what I'm going to recommend is that you get a separate bin for your sensory bins because they are going to want to see sand and water available to students throughout the day, throughout their observations. It has to be open. It has to be accessible like all of the other areas. If you want to do additional types of sensory play, you can, but don't take away your sand and water. Another question that comes up frequently and very often, it has to be sand, water, not sand-like, like not rice, not pasta. It has to be actual sand and water play. And you also have to have the tools within those tables for children to use and work with and manipulate. So there should be buckets and spoons and sifters and brushes and multiple materials that children can use in both sand and water. Again, accessible. And you can integrate that, I think wherever you want in the classroom, but it is tied to your nature and science area. So just keep that in mind if you want your best scores. One thing I think is really interesting, unique, but not surprising is that they've really leaned into the math and science as the world changes, technology and all of, we're a little bit more, I guess I'll use the word futuristic, but thinking about future careers, future skills children need to know, and math and science are certainly areas that children will need to be strong in. So math is now split up into 3 distinct areas. You have math materials, you have math and daily events like what time is it and schedules. Is it day? Is it night? Also understanding written numbers. So you have 3 different areas in math that you need to look at. So that is a change. And then they really expanded language and literacy subscales. And the language and literacy areas now include 5 specific areas. They're going to be looking at expanding children's vocabulary. And you can do that by engaging in conversations that introduce new words and explain the meanings. And there's a lot of ways. I'm just giving you one example. You can also encourage children to use language, creating opportunities for children to express themselves verbally during activities. Again, you want to use that receptive and expressive language in your classroom. You want to make sure that your staff or yourself are using books with students on a regular basis, reading to children and using books as a tool for discussion and learning, and beyond circle time. Like, they might be looking for you just to be sitting at a table with a small group of children. Maybe you're doing independent reading. There's a lot of different ways to do that, but they want to see staff reading books to children throughout their 3-hour or 4-hour observation. You also want to make sure that you're encouraging book use without the teacher. So providing a wide selection of books displayed in an inviting way to motivate exploration. So not just the teacher reading books to children, but the children reading books to other children, the children reading books to themselves. Make your learning, your reading area really a place where kids want to go visit. And you could do that, of course, by adding reading buddies and big cushy pillows and soft spaces and fairy lights. And, I think the library area is also a really nice place to add your plants and your fish. Now, of course, you can also add them in your nature and science. But I mean, I know when I'm sitting down and getting cozy with the book, just that nice little atmosphere of quiet and calm. And so I do like to put some plants in that area, at least, if not a fish or two. You also want to make sure that you have print and writing activities, that the staff are observed writing down what children say, that you're pointing out to letters and words during reading, and incorporating print-rich materials into daily routines. So schedules should be big and printed and posted so children can see the word playground, can see a picture of the playground. So if you don't have that in place, you should do that. Same thing with your learning areas. Should say science area, maybe with the picture of 2 students' heads, and then underneath the number 2, because again, remember, we're also looking for children to be able to identify numbers. So, I mean, I guess those are the major differences that I have found. And I can say, it's been my privilege to use this ECHRs tool for a really long time. I am a fan. Now, I don't think any one tool is the know-all, be-all, but I do feel it's pretty comprehensive. I feel like it provides a real detailed look at all the facets of early childhood environments, which helps in developing a well-rounded plan of action when you are improving your program, which is what I really use it for. And I think the teachers really, I don't know if the word is excited, but I think it gives teachers a nice concrete framework to work off of. It's not just somebody's opinion. It makes it a little more black and white. So I think that is one nice thing that's about it. And firsthand, I've seen it improve a classroom. You can walk into a classroom, especially if you've been doing this for a really long time. You can walk into a classroom and immediately know whether they've used an ECHRs or not. You will see some key things right away. And for the most part, if you've been doing it a long time, I feel like you can walk in and not only know they're using the ECHRs, but have a really good understanding of where they might fall in the rating scale itself. So the more you use it, I feel like the better you'll get at it, and the more confident you will be when you do have somebody come out to do an ECHRs for your program. I also think that your staff, the more that you do it, you're in a room with a clipboard. When I say you as the leader, or if you're a lead teacher, hop into someone else's classroom, do an ECHRs for them, have them hop in your classroom. Now, even if you're not trained per se on the scale, because you can get trained, even if you're not trained, you certainly can see things and point out things and use this and say, I noticed that you were doing XYZ. So I feel like it does give you a really great baseline. Of course, once you get to a point where you're ready for like an official visit, many states have supports. In our state, we have Bright Stars that, and then they have the Learners Program. There's several different programs where you can get assistance before you have a high stakes visit. So use those if you have those available to you in your state. So I guess that's it for today. I just really wanted to pop this up there because I know many of you are getting ready to move your classrooms around, or you might be in the middle of that now. I know I'm going to be doing that very, very soon with my staff. So it just, just kind of came to mind. And the ECHRs is something we use so frequently year after year after year after year. So that's it for today. I really, really hope that this was helpful to let you know what the differences are from the old version to the new version. Those are, the kind of the bigger picture ones. So that's it for today. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Childcare Directors Share podcast and YouTube channel. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, please do. We are here, your voice, to support you on your journey of being the best program ever, because it is the small details that make a big impact on the success of your childcare business. Have a great day.
Well, all the cute little kiddos have been picked up and it's time to go home. And that'll do it for another episode of the Childcare Director's Chair. Please leave a review so Erica knows the information is helping you to manage and improve your childcare centers. Remember to subscribe to get the latest episode from Erica's Childcare Director's Chair.